Hi, I'm Christy McDonald, and here's what's coming up on One Detroit. Nursing home workers in Michigan expressed their frustration over low wages and conditions during COVID-19. Plus, U of M researchers on why the lack of a coordinated response to the pandemic between the states has cost us all. Then Nolan Finley and Stephen Henderson on the Republican National Convention, and lake levels still causing trouble along the shoreline, a Great Lakes Now special report. It's all coming up right now on One Detroit.
Support for this program provided by W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Edsel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, MASCO Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. MASCO, serving Michigan communities since 1929. The DTE Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public TV, among the state's largest foundations committed to Michigan-focused giving. We support organizations that are doing exceptional work in our state. Visit dtefoundation.com to learn more.
Business Leaders for Michigan, dedicated to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and a healthy economy. NISSAN Foundation, Ally, and viewers like you.
Hi there, and welcome to One Detroit. I'm Christy McDonald. Thanks so much for joining me. Kids are getting ready to head back to school. We're still living in an unsettled world with COVID restrictions, and there's new anger and protests over another police shooting in Wisconsin. There is a lot to talk about this week. So coming up on the show, Nolan Finley was at the Republican National Convention in North Carolina. He catches up with Stephen Henderson by Zoom on the message being sent out by Republicans this week. Plus, nursing home workers in Michigan frustrated with wages and safety conditions during COVID-19. Bill Kubota has the story. Also ahead, why a coordinated response to COVID between the states could have made a difference, according to U of M researchers. And then the toll high water is still taking on towns around Michigan. It is a Great Lakes Now special report, and it's all coming up right now.
Nolan Finley, you are in North Carolina with every living Republican in the United States, right? So give us a sense of what you saw, what you took in at the live part of the convention in Charlotte.
Yeah, since 2000, I've been to every Democrat and Republican convention. And, you know, this was obviously unlike anything. It was a one-day convention, 500 Republicans here. They didn't come near filling the 6,000-seat convention center, Charlotte Convention Center, just there for a day. The city itself was dead. I mean, you know what a convention or any large event means to a downtown. Charlotte is actually a wonderful city. I was here in 2000 for the Democratic Convention, and I'll tell you what, you couldn't even walk through Charlotte and buy a MAGA hat.
That's right.
I tried, Steve.
I'm sure you did.
I was getting it for you. That was going to be your Christmas present.
Right. So one of the questions going into this week was what tone the Republicans would strike with all of this. The president's campaign has changed a lot in the last 6 or 8 months. It looks a lot like, to me, like an old-style Southern racist campaign. This convention was their opportunity to try to say, well, we're going to reach a little more to other people. We're not just going to concentrate on the president's base. Give us a sense of what that was like and how successful they were.
They're going after the base in a big way, talking about the Second Amendment, talking about abortion, talking about religion, talking about law and order. They're raising concerns about the leftward lunge of the Democratic Party, but they're also, the first 2 nights at least, really highlighting some of the young, diverse talent in the party. You saw a lot of minority speakers, a lot of African Americans, a lot of Hispanics. Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General, young Attorney General from the state of Kentucky, man, he was very, very impressive. What they're highlighting, at least so far, is the future of the Republican Party, and it looks a lot different than, for example, when they did their roll call during the day Monday, the state-by-state delegation awards. Not one African American stood up. 50-some delegations from states and territories stood up, and not one African American. And I thought, my goodness, if the convention is going to be like this, it'll be a disaster. But man, they've turned it around during that nighttime programming.
I mean, in terms of representation, it looks different. Of course, the message is always the trouble. Nikki Haley, in particular, I thought gave a very strange speech, attacking the idea of there being inequalities that require the kind of activism that we've seen. She stood up there and said, "America is not a racist country. This is an Indian woman who dropped her first name, essentially, to whiten it up, to run for political office in the state of South Carolina." Tim Scott also has, lots of things that are inconsistent with this message of inclusion that he's got to deal with inside the party. So, I mean, I agree with you that they've got the faces. What they don't have is the message or the substance.
I thought what Tim Scott spoke to is that everybody who's African American in politics doesn't have to think the same way, doesn't have to deliver the same message. He has, a very compelling personal story, and one that I think reached voters.
So give us an idea of where are we with this campaign going into the fall?
I think the Republicans have done a very good setup, and I think Donald Trump and his appearances these two nights has done a very good job. We've seen a restrained president trying to act presidential. Question to me is what happens Thursday night? Because when he spoke Monday to that brief convention session, it was rambling. It was, poor me, look what they're doing to me. It was a mess. And I would hope that he reads off a teleprompter and that he stays focused.
It does the script, right? Our common resolution, I think, coming out of the convention season this year is something that I've been talking about for a long time. 2024, we need a political convention in Detroit. I keep saying all these other cities are able to get conventions, and half of them aren't nearly as compelling a place as Detroit. Milwaukee, Charlotte. Come on.
No, I wouldn't say that about Charlotte. Charlotte's got
It's a wonderful city. It's not
a wonderful
Detroit.
city. And I'll tell you one difference you see there. We've talked over the years about Detroit's comeback and the heavy white presence and the lack of inclusion. You can't say that about Charlotte.
Can't say that about Charlotte. That's right.
Charlotte, you're in downtown Charlotte. You're in a largely African-American city. Businesses, Black-owned businesses, Black workers in those businesses, and everything seemingly coming together and going along. We haven't gotten there yet in Detroit, but Detroit could host a convention. Detroit could host a convention easily.
All right. Well, we'll see you when you get back.
We'll do it.
Bring a convention with you, Nolan.
I'll try to. You want the Republicans, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
All right, our thanks to Nolan and Stephen. We'll see you guys next week. Okay, turning now to nursing home workers in Michigan. They've had to cope with many residents becoming sick with COVID as well as coworkers. And nursing home workers across the metro area have threatened to strike, but negotiations about better pay and hours are ongoing. Bill Kubota has more on what nursing home workers are experiencing and what they want.
Last week, Lisa Elliott of East Point was ready for action.
I bought a brand new bullhorn. I was ready.
The planned 1,600 Detroit area nursing home workers to go on strike. Their union, SEIU Healthcare Michigan, demanding higher wages and more help, saying the targeted nursing homes are running short-staffed. But then one nursing home operator requested a restraining order to stop the strike as Governor Gretchen Whitmer stepped in to step up the negotiations. Elliott works at a nursing home in St. Clair Shores.
How many were participating in your facility, do you know?
I sure do. We had the whole building except for one lady in dietary, one CNA who's not in the union, and two maintenance guys. So there was only 4 people, and another dietary. So there was only 5 people that was not participating.
And wouldn't it shut down the whole facility if you're not in there?
Yes, it would have. And that's where management would have had to step in. But our management, they don't do anything on a regular basis to help us, so they would have been lost.
Would
So
a strike have been bad for the people in the nursing homes?
it would have been, but not only are we striking for ourselves, we are striking for our residents as well. Because see, when we have more staff, that means more care for the residents. Like when dietary have more staff and more help, they can get their food when it's hot and not when it's cold, and they can get the things that they require.
You're a CNA, you said. Well, that's what a certified nurse's assistant, is that what that stands for?
Yes, and I'm also a union steward for SEIU Healthcare of Michigan.
Now, what is a typical wage for a CNA? What is your wage?
Well, mine, I make $15.50. And like I said, I've been doing this for 20 plus years since I've been at this company, and I've been there going on 3 years. And the only raise that we ever received was from when the union stepped in to bring us up so we could keep people there working. And that's how we got to $15.50. I was only making $13. That's all I was making.
What is your typical day like?
Well, it's hectic because we work short every day. We work short every single day. Today we were short. And when I mean by that is, it's not from people calling in, it's from them scheduling us like that. We have no one to want to work there. So it's like I go in there, I may have like 13, 14 residents, and I have to, 2 meals with each one. I have to care for each one. These residents depend on me. So I may get a break in there and I may not, but it's very hectic. And we have no help from our nurses or our unit managers. They don't help us.
They don't pitch in and help get the work done when you're short of people?
Not at all. They won't even answer the call lights.
In regards to your residents that do have COVID-19, are they well separated from the ones that don't?
Well, they had our COVID hub downstairs and we were upstairs, and they had it blocked off. But the only thing I didn't like about that was you have a COVID unit with COVID residents, but you're still doing their laundry in the same washers and the same dryers with other residents. You're still serving their food on the same plates and everything with the same residents. I mean, a lot of things that they were doing to protect us when we had our COVID residents in there, I didn't feel safe.
How about now? Do you feel safe now?
No, no. Because we have residents now that's displaying signs and symptoms of COVID. Some not eating, some, their mental status has completely changed, but they'll tell us, well, they don't have a fever, so they don't have COVID, but they're testing them, but they won't tell us. They won't tell us anything.
You're saying they test residents, but they don't tell you if they have COVID or not?
No, they don't. They'll tell us, oh, they have pneumonia and they are on isolation. But we all know that if they tell us they have pneumonia, that's what it is. And they'll keep them on the unit. They officially closed down our COVID hub.
How many of your coworkers came down with COVID, do you know?
Let's see. I say it may have been about a good 7 or 8. 2 of them are still out. They were pretty bad. 2 of them were pretty bad, and they're still out.
What kind of money do you want to need to make?
I think the starting rate for a CNA should start off anywhere like from $15.50. And if you have like 10 years and beyond, you should be up to $17 or $18. If you over 10 years, 15 or 20 years, you need to be up there like at 20. So, like I said, I love what I do. I love being a CNA. I even thought about going back to school for nursing. I'm like, if I go be a nurse, I can't take care of the residents the way I like taking care of them. So I said, forget it. I'll do a CNA. And that's what I love to do. I have no regrets. It's just the pay that sucks.
Last week, we emailed the nursing home operators targeted by the strike. We've yet to hear back. We will keep you posted. All right, now to the response that each state had to the pandemic. The University of Michigan did a research project along with a few other universities looking at the lack of a coordinated response between states and how that led to cases spiking in certain places. Will Glover spoke with Paramveer Dhillon, Assistant Professor of Information at the University of Michigan.
You've done research around how each state's restrictions surrounding COVID-19 have been impacting each other, and how the lack of coordination has kind of facilitated this further spread of COVID-19. So can you just give us a summary of what the research was, how it was conducted, and some of the findings?
So the research question that we asked in that study is, how do contact patterns of people in a given state or region impact people in other regions or other states when the reopening plans are not coordinated? So in order to answer this research question, we use people's movement data, which was tracked by a company that builds mobile apps. We combined it with Facebook's social network data. So we never used individual level data to do any of our analysis. So all our analysis were at county level, and they used de-identified data. So that helps us address the privacy concerns that might arise. So we look at not just geographic neighbors, but we also look at social neighbors. And we combined it with county level policy data, that is shelter in place or business closures in different states across the country. And we collect all this data to assess the impact of contact patterns in one state and how they impact people in other states.
What has the data shown you that people are doing and how they're moving that's getting past our efforts to, slow down COVID-19?
So first of all, one of our main findings is that when the state reopenings are not coordinated, we see a reduction in about 69% of people's welfare due to uncoordinated policies, right? So coordination among states is very important. So think about like college goers or frat parties, right? Like students going from one state to the other, and there would be a coronavirus outbreak in the other state, right?
Right.
So that's what we mean, that there needs to be some coordination because people move across state borders freely, whereas the policies are state level. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that there should be a federal level top-down coordination, but we could have something at the intermediate level. That is, just the Midwestern states or just the East Coast states or just the West Coast states could coordinate the reopening plans.
So what are some of the suggestions and solutions that you guys have come up with?
That some of these policies, like shelter in place and business closures, they need to be the same across state borders.
In the context of the research that you guys did and what your findings were, how would something like a contact tracing app have helped, or how could it help?
Contact tracing app would let you trace the spread of the virus and prevent its further spread. So contact tracing app would definitely be helpful, but as you know, contact tracing is like a much harder thing to do than coordinating like state policy.
And finally, if you venture to the shoreline around the state this summer, you'll know that lake levels are still causing a big problem in many places. For homeowners in towns, the costs keep rising as well.
After several years of high precipitation, all 5 Great Lakes have been at or near record levels for much of the past year. Homeowners along the lakes have had to take expensive measures to move, protect, or demolish their houses before the waves or erosion could claim them. The high water threatens public property too, and along Michigan's Great Lakes shoreline, the longest of any U.S. state, many waterfront cities are facing mounting bills. The Michigan Municipal League has been tallying the cost of high water to the state cities since 2019, and the number is still climbing. Harrisana Richards is a legislative associate with the Michigan Municipal League.
Well, the number that we have, approximately $70 million, isn't complete. We're recognizing right now in this crisis that there's a shortage of people who are able to contract and do this work and also do those actual infrastructure projects. So you'll have a lot of communities, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, who are still waiting to get someone to come out and assess their damage and also get those estimates to really know where they are. And so that number has been growing by the day, by the month.
Waterfront towns like South Haven on Michigan's western shore have incurred millions of dollars of unplanned costs. The city is a favorite of summer tourists, but record high water has shrunk the city's sugar sand beaches. And on March 5th, the city canceled its annual July 3rd fireworks, a major tourist draw and economic driver, not because of COVID-19, but out of concern that high water and waves could make it dangerous to launch from the city's iconic pier. Later that month, water levels hit another summer attraction, the city's marinas. Kate Hosier is South Haven's interim city manager and harbor master.
We have 4 municipal marinas. The harbor is kind of right in the middle, like the heart of it, and the city wraps around it. It's a vital part of what makes South Haven South Haven. There's a huge economic driver that is the port, with all the transient boaters that come in, from the seasonal boaters who stay here. By closing the marina, you no longer have the revenue, and now you have to pay for it. So you're kind of getting hit twice. You have to come up with the money to make the repairs. And then, of course, you're not getting the revenue because you can't have boats in the slips. I would say that the high water issues have caused repairs and fixes in the range of between $4 and $5 million.
Of course, the costs don't end with the marinas. On April 29th, after heavy rains, the city saw widespread flooding along its riverfront. Bill Hunter is South Haven's Director of Public Works.
That day, I was constantly running around worried. I kept checking all the spots. You lose sleep when that happens.
The water was high enough to threaten the city's wastewater treatment plant on the banks of the Black River.
Here at this plant, this area was all underneath water, but we had these pumps here at the time, which helped us. We just had them installed. They only been running for a few weeks. Probably if that would have happened prior to the pumps, we would have had sanitary sewer overflows, meaning the sanitary sewer would flood into the Black River and to Lake Michigan untreated. That would be the worst case scenario. In a normal year, you would just see the water like a creek going by, see the water just flowing. Now it's just kind of stagnant.
The city has had to run pumps to move the treated water out of the plant. Without the pumps, things could get ugly for anyone connected to the sewer lines. The wastewater treatment plant is now protected by lines of HESCO barriers, sand-filled containers that form a wall to stop water and waves. In May, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers helped to install more barriers on South Haven's waterfront, but they aren't protecting the beach. They're protecting the city's water filtration plant and a critical 1 million gallon reservoir of drinking water that's buried beneath the sand.
If you don't have that holding tank, you basically have to issue a system-wide boil notice. So all 11,000 people would have to immediately start boiling their water to be able to use.
Elsewhere in the community, flooding has remained a problem. Around the intersection of Dunkley and Wells, the spring floods never left.
That whole area is still flooded. We have 2 pumps already in there to dewater the area. We did that last year. This year, those pumps can't keep up, so we're proposing to put in more sandbags plus the Tiger Dam system. That's an $82,000 expense, not budgeted.
Early estimates put the total cost at $11 to $20 million. As of early July, the high end of that range is looking more accurate. Of course, these problems are not without precedent. In 1986, during the last round of record-setting water levels, governments asked the International Joint Commission to prepare a report and recommend actions. Rob Sisson is one of the IJC's U.S. commissioners.
When you read through it, the theme of climate change comes through loud and clear. Coastal resiliency, a lot of recommendations for infrastructure for municipalities around the Great Lakes, and those largely have sat on a shelf for the intervening years because the water levels came right down.
Sisson hopes that this time lessons learned will be acted upon.
I know communities are hurting and they're going to need millions and millions of dollars of assistance to bring their systems up to speed. It's going to be more than local governments can handle. The high water emergency that exists today does give us, I think, the ability to bring governments together and stakeholders together to discuss, let's put a plan in place for the long term. Let's get together, let's build a resiliency plan for the future, because we know we're going to face higher highs and lower lows in the future.
For more on our Great Lakes reports, just catch Great Lakes Now each month and head to our website at onedetroitpbs.org. That's going to do it for us this week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday for One Detroit Arts and Culture. Take care. We'll see you then.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.
Support for this program provided by W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Edsel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, MASCO Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. MASCO, serving Michigan communities since 1929. The DTE Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public TV, among the state's largest foundations committed to Michigan-focused giving. We support organizations that are doing exceptional work in our state. Visit dtefoundation.com to learn more.
Business Leaders for Michigan, dedicated to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and a healthy economy. NISSAN Foundation, Ally, and viewers like you.